He is the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. He's possibly the biggest selling relationship author of all time, and never have we needed his advice more than now, during lockdown, or semi-lockdown, or however you want to call it. It's John Gray on Zestology this week, the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. He's been on Zestology before and you've probably heard him. But you've probably spent a lot of time, you might live on your own, and that provides its own set of relationship challenges, or you might live with other people and you might have spent a lot of time with them recently, and that provides some lockdown relationship challenges. So I wanted to get John Gray on to talk relationships. And today on Zestology we talk about the ideal relationship. We talk about quarantine. Is it kind of painful or is it an opportunity? We talk about how to thrive in your relationship during this crisis, how to minimize conflict and eliminate resentment, and how men and women have different needs, particularly at times of stress and crisis, like lockdown. Well, this is the podcast all about energy, vitality and motivation, and when you get your relationships right, it does make everything else okay, doesn't it? So I highly recommend today's guest, John Gray. I do hope you enjoy it, and I'm thrilled to have him back again. As always, I'm strolling around central London, recording this podcast introduction. I'm glad to be out and about again. For the months of April and May, I was mostly recording them in the spare bedroom. It just didn't feel quite right. It's much nicer being out and about. One of the reasons that I record these podcasts out and about is that so many people say that movement is one of the best ways to relax, stay healthy and get into a different mindset. And I certainly find that even if it's kind of mild exercise like walking or strolling, I do feel different and I get into a kind of different place. So that's why I'm often moving when I record these podcast intros, just in case you wondered. Okay, here he is, friend of the show without a doubt, the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, John Gray on Zestology. What's the experience of coronavirus and lockdown been like for you?
I'm a big meditator. I spend maybe 2 to 3 hours meditating every day, easily, and maybe an hour or two at night. And it's a time of developing ideas for me, doing lots of podcasts, helping people. I think I'd be very depressed if I couldn't do podcasts, because meditation isn't enough for me. It's reconnecting with the source, but when you're connected to the source, you have to help people. Otherwise, what's the point of connecting to the source?
Yeah. Well, that word connecting is funny because I feel like a lot of us have got to know people. I mean, I feel like I know my neighbours better than I ever did. We've got a WhatsApp group for the street and everyone's, people will leave you eggs if you've run out and all that kind of thing, which is lovely. But of course, it's so different connecting on WhatsApp or a text or a screen to actually connecting in person and having that human touch and physicality, which we're all kind of quite lacking in.
Well, I'm lucky. I'm not alone. I have a partner, and I have great sex as well, deep loving sex. And so that's really important to me. So I have the physical side of it, I have the spiritual side of it. The service is the emotional side of it for me, to be able to serve and help people. And I've come up with a lot of great new ideas. I'm always learning and developing new ideas.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's great that you're getting some still during lockdown, John, because people are having first dates online now, and it's just it's a mad way of doing it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not the real thing. It's challenging. We do need touch. Touch is really, really important. It's otherwise something significant is missing.
You mentioned the meditation. I mean, one of the things we've had here in the UK, we've had extraordinary weather for the first kind of 5 or 6 weeks of lockdown, just unprecedented good weather, like the middle of summer. It's been so lovely. And this week, it's kind of back to what it's normally like at the end of April. And I must admit, the days have felt very long. And I do find when I meditate, I tend to kind of feel better and more present and kind of accept it a little bit more. But today has been tough, I've got to be honest. Have you had some tough days as well, despite the meditation?
Yes, yes. Well, my wife died almost 2 years ago.
Yes.
I'm still in the process of grieving that. So I think maybe this week, one day, I really, really missed my life the way it was. I mean, it's such a huge shock to have 34 years together, really 40 years together of my life. She's my partner, and suddenly it's gone. It just feels like I've gone through so much healing with it, but it comes back still occasionally where I miss my old life, terribly. Even though I enjoy my present life, I had such a beautiful life with her. So that's what comes up for me. And then I sort of, what I did was, I went for a long walk, all by myself, and being in nature and seeing other people on walks. I was just too much into myself. I needed to get out and interact, and otherwise I went into the past a bit too much.
A bit too much, yeah. Do you think, because it is obviously, we're really supposed to be leaving once a day for either to buy essentials or to take exercise. So even getting out into nature can be quite tough. But it does make you realize those simple things like walking in nature is just so incredible. We're so lucky to be able to do it.
Yeah. I mean, not everybody can walk in nature. They're in cities and whatever. I'm very fortunate. I have acres and acres of green trees and nice homes with lots of trees. So it's very peaceful where I live. It's just right outside the city, 20 minutes, Mill Valley, outside of San Francisco. I live on a mountain, and it's very nice.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Well, I was really interested to talk to you about kind of relationships, because obviously relationships are just massively thrown into the spotlight for everybody at the moment. And me and my partner have congratulated ourselves more than once on the fact we're getting on quite well during lockdown.
That's great.
Yeah, we're getting on great. We're very lucky to have a 13-month-old who just loves spending more time with mummy and daddy as well.
Keeps you occupied. I think if you stay occupied and you've got all that unconditional love.
He just doesn't know what's going on, so it's great,
Yeah, he doesn't know. This is very challenging to so many people, so I don't like to get too light about this. I mean, one is some people are losing family members, and that's terrible. I mean, that's the grieving, and I totally understand that. And then there's the Wuhan, where they've sort of been through a lot of this before. When they started coming out of their houses, when the lockdown was released, divorce rates went from the average in Wuhan is generally 12 divorces a week. And they went to 300 a week. And still there's big lineups of people wanting to get divorced. Yeah. It's really, really hard if people don't have significant relationship skills, and the way I summarize it is an ideal relationship, and it's a range here, but is 80% of your happiness and fulfillment is independent of your relationship. We are whole people before we get married, before we fall in love and so forth. We have a life. And, often when couples are having so many problems, the solution is take some time to go back to your life and find your happiness. And then you go to your relationship in order to give more, because you got more. And then by giving more, you get more. And so your partner can make you happier. That's the job we have with each other, really, is not to make each other happy. That's our own job, but it's to make each other happier. And that happens by being full within ourselves. And, the problem with it is although I don't feel it's my job to make my partner happy, many men, and it's not their job if we look at the man side of it, but men get in the way and they make it worse. Because so many times part of the journey for women to find their happiness is to talk about what's bothering them. And so normally they'd have their friends. 80% of the time they've got life to experience what's bothering them. And suddenly it's just him or the kids. You're stuck in this place and you don't have a lot of other reasons to be bothered. And you don't have a lot of other moments to share your feelings with other friends or whatever and interact. You don't have a lot of stimulation that would normally soothe your soul because you're doing all these things that you enjoy, or you're making a difference in the world. So that's the 80%. And now when you're stuck together, there's a tendency to feel like, well, you're supposed to make me happy. And although people don't articulate that so clearly, oh, you're not doing your job to make me happy, the way it shows up is, I'm not feeling very good in your presence. You're making me feel bad. See, when you feel like your partner is responsible for your annoyance, for your irritation, or they're annoyed and irritated with you, and now you're annoyed and irritated with them, the problem is we're blaming our partner as a sign. Don't believe what you're feeling right now. Don't believe what you're thinking right now. If you're thinking all this negativity or you're having all this irritation, don't believe it. Recognize it's like a boil. It's a sickness that you can heal by clearly saying to yourself, stop, stop, stop. I need to take time for myself and not be blaming them. I'm a grown-up. I'm not a child. I'm not dependent on them for my happiness. I'm responsible for my happiness. And I have no right to blame them and if I'm not feeling fulfilled within myself. And so many people will dance around that, and they'll go, as a counselor, I do this all the time, and they'll say, well, I'm completely happy in my life. It's just him. I'm completely happy in my life. I'm the positive one. I'm so positive. My wife is so negative. I say, you sound pretty negative about your partner. You seem to list like 50 things. Yeah, but if she didn't do that, I would be so happy. I say, you don't know what love is. Love is accepting someone, taking time to understand them, not blaming them. But if you have nothing to give to them, that's okay. Just don't make it worse for them. Give to yourself, open your heart. And, that's where, the beyond Mars and Venus ideas are real helpful. Let me start with a Mars-Venus idea, and then we'll go beyond Mars-Venus. Beyond Mars-Venus is we're no longer traditional roles. Guys have a lot of emotion, a lot of feeling. They're more on their female side. Women are more masculine. They're more independent. That's beyond the traditional. But still, there's this traditional part of us that really shows up when you're in the house all together. And that's the idea in Men Are From Mars is men need their cave. Now, because it's like
it's harder than ever, isn't it? Because there's no escape at the moment. We're all in the same house. You can't get out.
Yes, right. So let me give an example how I could describe the cave for people who don't understand it or maybe don't fully get it. But here I am as a writer many years ago, and I'm writing in the living room on my computer. I have a little desk there, and I'm writing on my computer. And my wife is taking care of the kids. And she'll walk up and talk to me at times and go away and breaks my flow of concentration. Okay, it's a little annoying. It's a little irritating. And now she can already sense that I would be annoyed and irritated if she interrupted me. And so she doesn't. But then she starts feeling ignored by me. You see, it's like when somebody is staring at a computer and you're like there interacting, maybe needing their help, and you feel he's so focused on his video game or his work or whatever, you start to take it personally. And so she would take it personally and just feel like, you're ignoring me, you're not there for me. And I'm kind of like, I'm doing my work. And so then I just got a writing studio and outside the house. And it's not that far away. I just built kind of like a little place separate from the house. And that's where I write. That's where I am now. And then she never felt ignored. John, he went to work. See, this is what men have done for millions of years. We go to work. We leave the home. You see, we go away.
And at the moment, we can't go away, can we? I mean, I wonder if you think with coronavirus, how much do you worry about when this is all kind of starts to become normalized? And it sounds like it's going to be ages until we are back to the old normal, if ever. How many problems with how much of an epidemic in relationships will there be because people just can't leave to their cave like they normally do?
Well, it's happening right now. It's men. There's no place for men to go, and biologically, men need to pull away from intimacy. We need to pull away from intimacy because it lowers our testosterone. Intimacy lowers testosterone, generally speaking. Estrogen is produced when we're feeling interdependent to each other. We're needing each other, we're loving each other, we have emotions and so forth. That's all estrogen. And part of my Beyond Mars Venus work is we know that when men are feeling heart open, willing to help, being of service, having self-esteem, their testosterone is high. It's when they get angry, their estrogen is high, this female hormone. And so in order to keep the estrogen from going too high, we need to go to the cave. We need to get away from intimacy, from the people we love, we care about so deeply. That produces a lot of estrogen. And we need that for our balance. But balance means you got to have both. And so testosterone is produced, when you're feeling more independent, when you're separate, when you're solving problems, fixing things, challenge, doing things, risk and danger. So for guys who are sitting around the house, it's really hard to build that testosterone up. So what are the symptoms of low testosterone in men is kind of a rigidity, irritation, annoyance, passiveness, over emotionality. And to escape that, we then will have addictions. So some guys are drinking too much. Some guys are smoking too much. Some guys are playing games too much. Some guys are doing porn too much. All those things is disconnected. A woman particularly is going to feel disconnected and often take it personally. So that's where we have to keep coming back to. Another illusion, here's an illusion, which is when people are hormonally out of balance, they're in a fight or flight state, their hormones are out of balance, women's estrogen and progesterone is out of balance, their testosterone's they're producing too much testosterone, feeling independent, I have to do it all myself kind of a thing. Men can't rebuild their testosterone, they're not doing their normal work, making a difference, suffer from their partner. So that's the hormonal imbalance. When hormones go out of balance, we become somebody other than who we are. We become unloving, we become selfish, we become demanding, we become needy, we might become overly emotional, we might become overly detached, we forget how much we love our partner. That's not who we are. But often when that happens, people go, oh, the true self came forth. Those are your true colors. Now we know, what you said it, you mean it. Those are your true colors. And I go, no, that's not their true colors. That's what happens when they're tripping, when they're falling out of balance. That's the not real person. And we have to keep that in mind, that what's going on here. Don't buy into it. If you start to have an argument, say, hey, when this is all over, we'll discuss that. This is not the time to resolve things, to fix things in the relationship. Don't even talk about the relationship at this time. This is a time to be gracious, a time to be generous. And we have to remind ourselves of that. See, this is like we have this prefrontal cortex, and then we have our amygdala. The amygdala is the fight or flight place. That's where we're feeling stressed. Anytime you're not feeling love, okay, you're in that amygdala place. So you want to get up to the front part of the brain. So one of the things that can keep people in the front part of the brain is just knowing, reminding yourself over and over and over, when I'm not loving, don't believe what I'm feeling. Don't believe what I'm thinking. Because when we're not loving, we always blame. That's what the primitive brain does. It's, oh, you don't love me. You don't care about me. I don't even know if I really loved you ever. I doubt this relationship. I'm plotting my leaving now. How am I going to get out of this situation? All of that is plotting. That's not you. That's this other part of you, this conditioned response, which goes when we're in fight or flight, when our hormones aren't in balance, when our heart isn't open. So when your heart's not open, don't believe what you feel. We look at the facts. The facts are you married this person, it was really good for a while, and now the facts are you're out of balance, so you've forgotten that. That's the fact. You're not loving. But you think you are. Women will go, oh, I give and give and give, and now I resent, I don't get back. That's called you're not loving. The guy is, oh, I'm so positive, I'm not demanding anything from my partner. I'm not doing anything to her. I'm just sitting here watching TV. Why is she so upset with me? Why does she take that personally? That's her problem. So I'm so positive. She's so negative. You have to get, when you say that, you got to look at that and go, no, I'm being the negative one here.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
what would the positive one do? The positive person would be empathetic, would be compassionate, would be patient, would be accepting, would want to understand, it's tell me more, what's going on, what's happening, what can I do to help you? Can I make you some orange juice? This is one of the things I've done. which is I bought the coolest orange juice maker from Oranges. What was it called? Where you just put the top down, push a button, and it does it for you and flip it up. Oh, it's so wonderful, and it cleans really fast. I might even do an Amazon review on it and just say, you're missing out. All these other ones, they're hard to clean, whatever. This one, just put it, you just click it and it does it for you, and you put the next orange in, you cut it in half.
Was this a lockdown purchase? Because
this is a lockdown purchase.
Lockdown purchase.
Oh, definitely. And I got lots of oranges, and I just, let me make you some orange juice, And what women need is to feel seen, heard, touched, and understood. Okay, just summarize that. Not that men don't, but multiply that times 10, and you've got a woman. And particularly when she's under stress. And many times they'll go, I don't want that. I don't want that. That's their resistance to going to their female side. Okay, so we just have to wants to be seen, heard, touched, served. So I invented this game, which I want everybody to know about. It's fantastic. You can do it even when you're not in lockdown. But in lockdown, we're not getting the normal 80% of stimulation we would get separate from our partner. So that produces a big problem. That's a problem right there. So here's the game.
Yeah.
It's a supercharger for your hormonal balance. Okay, so now estrogen is a hormone that women require for well-being 10 times more than men. And testosterone is a hormone that men require at least 10 times more than women. So making testosterone is really important to men. Making estrogen is important to women. So what are the behaviors that allow a man or woman to increase estrogen? It's when you're needing help and getting it. Okay, that's it. If I feel I need your love and you give me your love, my estrogen goes up. If I don't feel I need your love, then my estrogen doesn't go up. If I don't feel I can get your love, then I'll stop needing your love and my estrogen won't go up. So I need to feel I need support and I can get support. Now, what makes testosterone go up is the opposite. These are like opposite forces. Testosterone goes up when somebody needs me, and I can provide for them what they need, and they will reward me. Okay, reward means I succeeded. I need to be successful. We need feedback that says I was successful. I need to feel needed, that I can provide what is needed, and I get feedback that says I did it.
Right.
Okay, so that's like, all right, so this is like the bottom line. Now, women need testosterone, but not as much as men. And men need estrogen, but not as much as women. So this is a game that supercharges estrogen and progesterone for women, and it supercharges testosterone for men. Now it's called Genie in a Bottle. Okay, it's 20 minutes. And for 20 minutes, she rubs the bottle, and he comes out. He's the genie. Now, what is rubbing the bottle? And he's basically...
I can only imagine, John.
I'm all powerful. See, men want to be all powerful. Look at me. I can do anything. I can fulfill any wish you have. Okay. And so I'm going to, rubbing the bottle is asking for help. Okay. You got to ask for help. He's going to come out of the bottle, but he's not going to do anything unless you tell him what to do. And for 20 minutes, he is your genie. His whole purpose in life is to fulfill your wishes. There's this great, great fun romantic movie called The Princess Bride. The Princess Bride?
Yeah,
really great.
Yeah.
It's a great, fun show for everybody to watch during this time. It's really, really fun. And it's like a cult following. I think my daughter's watched it 20 times, and we recite the words as we go through it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but there's this beautiful woman who could have any man, and this little farm guy, he wins her over. And the way he wins her over, he never talks. He never talks. He just says, as you wish. As you wish, as you wish. And she can't resist him because, the king wants him, money, everything. She wants this guy because basically his heart is as you wish. He is the genie.
Just interrupting this podcast for one moment to tell you about a new magnesium product. If there's one mineral you should be worried about not getting enough of, it is magnesium. It's a subject that's come up so many times on this podcast. Magnesium is the body's master mineral, powerful for over 300 critical reactions, including detox, fat metabolism, energy, this podcast about energy, and even digestion. But there's a couple of problems, and that is that magnesium has largely been missing from the soil since the 1950s. And that explains why up to 80% of us might be deficient. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? But apparently the soil has just been ploughed so much that all the magnesium has gone out of it. So it might be a good idea to supplement. Most supplements only have 1 or 2 forms of magnesium, even when in reality there's about 7 different types of magnesium that you could be taking. But I'm excited to tell you about my podcast partners for June, and that is Magnesium Breakthrough, the ultimate magnesium supplement, easily the best that I've ever taken. Although I've only just started this magnesium challenge for June, I'm already enjoying it, and I can tell it's good. I'm taking Mag Breakthrough for June, and I'm excited because it's in stock, and as a Zestology listener, you can get it now. If you head to magbreakthrough.com/Zestology, you'll get a custom 10% coupon, a Zestology 10, which will be applied when you head there. And actually some of the packages they've got, you'll get 40% off as well. So if you do take magnesium, you might want to try a magnesium product which has got 7 different types of it. If you don't, I'm surprised, because I've talked about it on Zestology quite a bit, and it might be the time to get involved with Magnesium June. It's a working title, but we're going to take magnesium for June and see how we feel, and I'm doing it as well. I'm feeling good on the first few days, and I'll report back later in the month. But I'm enjoying the Magnesium Breakthrough. If you head to magbreakthrough.com/Zestology, you'll get 10% off. You'll get all the details. You will not get that deal on Amazon or the company's website or anywhere else. And get that full spectrum and effective magnesium, and make sure you get 7 different types of it. That's it. Back to the show.
So for 20 minutes, she asks him to do things, and he immediate reaction is a big estrogen producer. Okay, I will do it. Yes, it's my pleasure. I'm very happy to do it. Oh, what else can I do for you? I would love to do more for you. You just, kind of like a flight attendant. You're just going to go to the nth degree of genie being of service. And you get more than 3 wishes in this game, but it has to be within 20 minutes. It can't be, I want you to always turn out the light in the living room. Well, that's tomorrow. That has nothing to do with the game right now. It has to be something it would be, would you turn out the light now? Okay, so he turn on the light, turn off the light. Would you wash these dishes? Would you clean this cupboard? Would you go empty the trash? Would you pick up your clothes? So everything she basically asks for, ideally, are things she doesn't want to do. She'd rather relax more. And it can also be very relaxing things. Would you go upstairs and get those oils, massage oils, and take off my shoes and then take off my socks and give me a foot massage? Oh, that's really good. So while he's saying it's my pleasure and it's my joy to do this, I'm happy to do this, she is saying, oh, this feels so good. I'm enjoying this so much. And it's a 20-minute game. And for the first 5 minutes, you have to fake it till you make it. Because some couples, she might be all grumpy or he might be grumpy. Pretend it's just 20 minutes, okay? Let's remember that this is a person you married. This is the person that you're picking out of all the other people in the world. This is who you're with. You love them even if you're not feeling it. So play along. And within 5 minutes, for people who even resist playing the game, within 5 minutes, they start to feel all these hormone stimulation. Their heart starts to soften. They start to enjoy the game. And it's just 20 minutes. So you're not feeling like you have to do this all the time. But what happens, it's a boost to his testosterone because he's actually doing things that make a difference in her. And she is feeling, I can ask and get something right away. And that will increase her estrogen. Now, the secret of success in this game is another insight from Men Are From Mars. And that is that for women, if you give her 24 roses, it's a spike of estrogen, or give her 1 rose, the same spike of estrogen. So you don't have to do big things that have a big result. You do a lot of little things. So if women can keep it to little things, she actually gets more estrogen and he gets to do more things. So that's the idea of a variety of things. Now we can expand that beyond the game, some other things that are really good for both men and women to do during this time. There's probably the most powerful estrogen stimulator for women is to learn something new from a teacher or a guide, like a guided meditation or an aerobics class online where somebody's telling you what to do, where you're in a yoga class where somebody's leading you, where you're doing a meditation where somebody's guiding you in that meditation. So you're constantly depending on someone to lead you. Learning some new dance steps would also be something where your partner could lead you. But it's being led allows where you're feeling you're depending on someone's guidance, support, knowledge. That will increase your estrogen levels tremendously and lower your stress levels. It puts you in the prefrontal cortex of the brain, and the amygdala starts to settle down. That's the fight or flight center. It also balances the hormones. Now, for men, if you're learning something new that would be useful for you, that's power. And learning knowledge is power. So if you're learning something new so that you'll have greater power, greater awareness, greater success, that is going to be stimulating testosterone for you. So that's a really good thing, is learning new things. And so there's all these online courses, and it doesn't even matter. It's what you're interested in. It could be learning archery from somebody. It could be learning cooking. So many cooking channels, gardening, learning new things with gardening. Whatever your interests are, this is the time to go to people who have classes, who are teaching, and you're learning new things. That's like really great stress reducer, particularly right now when it's so easy to have the amygdala be firing and overstimulated.
If we look forward a little bit then, so that's kind of relationships now, and I think that's very helpful, especially the gardening stuff. Everybody's madly, if you're lucky enough to have a garden, everybody's gardening at the moment. And I think I've cooked more in the last 2 weeks than I've ever cooked in my life, and baked and eaten as well. But then if we look, it's very hard to isolate from the fridge and the treats cupboard, isn't it?
It certainly is. If you're not working, you just want to keep putting more in. But I'm also learning to cook as well, which is quite a good time for me.
Oh, great! Yeah, it's very relaxing actually. It's all absorbing when you talk about getting out of your head and into the kind of your body. Then cooking, just you have to focus so hard. I mean, I wonder what you think about relationships after coronavirus and this crisis. And I don't necessarily just mean romantic relationships, but everything that we know in the world is changing at the moment, isn't it? I mean, do you think that we will interact in the same way in the future? And I mean everything from dating, people are now dating online, and that seems like a new normal, to shaking hands with people when you meet them for the first time. Do you worry that something might have been lost from humanity in the way that we interact with each other?
I don't. My sense is going to be single people are going to be so much more in touch with their need for love. And so there could be a surge of great relationships starting. And married couples, that's the concern I have, is they're going to have, if they don't have these insights we're talking about, there's going to be a lot of wounds. There's a lot of fighting. There's violence. There's punishing. There's doubting. There's plans to escape. That's the problem. There's going to be, and parents arguing and fighting in front of their children, or giving each other the cold shoulder in front of their children. That's a trauma to their kids. Whenever parents are not happy with each other, children will tend to blame themselves. Let's just remember that. That's like a really key, not so obvious concept, but basically all of psychology agrees with that. I don't agree with so much of what psychology says, that men and women are supposed to be the same. But when it comes to that parenting insight, that is standard knowledge.
Wow.
And you kind of go, why? They just say that's what it is. Because, as therapists, we bring people back into their childhood, and that's a major trauma for them, is their parents bad-mouthing each other, their parents arguing, their parents fighting. You get down into it. Why is that traumatic? It's not about you. A child makes it about themselves. Even if the parents aren't fighting about the child, although many arguments are disagreements in how you're raising the children. But even if it's not, children will take responsibility for it. And why? So I have the answer why, from my point of view at least. We come into this world really our hearts are wide open, but we don't have a sense of who we are. Our self-image is formed over many, many years in terms of how other people treat us. But first impressions are the most lasting. And so, as we know, when you come out into this world, everybody, in most cases, is happy to see you. And so you feel this this huge power, omnipotence, I think I was going to say.
Yeah.
But it's like, I make people happy. Okay, so that's our experience. I make people happy.
Yeah.
And see, that's who people are also, oh, look at the baby. Oh, I want to hold the baby. Oh, this is great. The baby's here. We're worried for the baby. I'm important. So that first thing is I make people happy. And then when people are not happy, oh, somehow I failed. And that's where that feeling of unworthiness and inadequacy begins to happen. Inadequacy that's so deep inside of people whenever we're upset with ourselves and we're upset with others. You know, if you feel like you're good enough, then, and you're not perfect, nobody's perfect, but you're good enough, then if somebody else isn't perfect, well, that's good enough. It's when we're hard on ourselves, we're saying, oh, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve to be loved, I don't deserve to be appreciated, then other people are not perfect. Then immediately we go, well, you're not perfect. You don't deserve to be loved. You're inadequate. You're not good enough. And so that whole blaming tendency actually starts to a great extent in how our early years are like, it depending upon how much harmony existed, how safe we felt as children, how loved we felt, and how loved our parents felt about each other. All those factors have a big effect on our own sense of self-esteem, our own sense of feeling adequate, good enough, worthy, those kinds of things. So this is a time where I'm just saying this for couples who are listening, just go overboard and not just don't argue and fight, but focus on recognizing this is a time you need to not believe what you're feeling or thinking, not act on it, not try to solve any big issues between the two of you. Don't talk about the relationship. Deal with yourself. And don't make demands on your partner. Try to just come back to finding your happiness yourself. Let this be a reset for yourself to open yourself up to love and forgiveness and acceptance. And that might mean your partner is like the man who's saying, oh, my wife's so negative. Well, try to, allow her to be that way without it affecting you. Why does it have to affect you? A lot of people in the world are negative. You're not like upset about that. You just look the other way. Well, do something to make yourself happy and then try and go do some nice things for her. And likewise for women who are feeling resentment and ignored by their husbands, take time to have somebody else give you attention. Get on FaceTime, get on your computer, get on someone, have somebody you interact with. And when you're interacting with somebody else, giving them attention and also getting attention from them, don't be resenting your partner for not being able to give it to you. Be grateful that you have friends and you have a life that can give you what you need when he can't. We have to think of it like, you wouldn't be mad at your partner if they're in a wheelchair and they're limited right now. If they're not able to give themselves the love they need, they're not going to be able to give you the love you need. And so it's like they're in a wheelchair. So you can't say, if you love me, you'll stand up out of the wheelchair. It's just like we need to create a context to recognize that, a lot of people have been cut off from their food source of love. And so they become somebody other than they are. They'll come back to that person, but you can make it worse by trying to make them wrong for it or trying to change them.
Well, I think also, pre-lockdown, it's very easy. If you've got issues in your relationship, it is very easy to escape to your man cave, or the metaphorical man cave is just going to work for 10 hours a day, or or whatever the equivalent might be in any particular relationship, and actually avoid confronting the issues that you might have in the relationship. And then when you're in such close quarters with someone for so long, it is extraordinary, isn't it? How much we're cooped up.
It will put a magnifying glass on any issues that you have presently. But sometimes you put that magnifying glass on your issues, you realize that they become bigger, but they're absurd. That's what we need right now. Sometimes you can't really deal with something till you realize how completely unloving and ridiculous you're being. That's what we can do. That's what meditation has done for me, is it gives me an objectivity where I can step back and reflect on is that loving or is that not loving? Is that my better self, or is that this, conditioned person from childhood that was determined by circumstances outside my control? Yeah. I need to come back to that higher self. And that's a journey. That's not easy to do, but at least you can say, stop, 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 and go into another room. And you're saying stop to yourself. Just turn off this noise. Go listen to some music. Go take a yoga class. Go do something. Remember, learning new things is such a key aspect of during this time, rather than looking to your partner for support.
Yeah. I think there's a bit of ego in it for me as well, that something I've battled with is that obviously all childcare is out at the moment. So my partner works from home 3 days a week at the moment, and I am looking after the baby for the whole day. And it's, in some ways, it's the best possible opportunity to spend lots more time with him and to be very present and to, do lots of cooking, as we said, and go for long walks, once a day. And also part of my kind of ego says, well, I'm someone who's busy and I like to go to work and earn money and I should be doing something. And I find it quite hard to let all that go and just sink into the moment with him. I do find that hard.
It is hard because we should be doing things. Doing is one of the most important testosterone boosters. So one of the things we can do is overcome our resistance to doing little things. So many people procrastinate doing little things. If something's big emergency, we'll handle it. But there's a lot of things we put off. I mean, I'm now addressing anybody. It's not everybody, but some of us have clutter in our homes and little projects that, we just put off because, you can overlook them and it's a bother and it's not that important. Well, notice you have resistance to doing those things, and you actually build testosterone by overcoming resistance. You actually make more testosterone by doing something that's you don't like doing something that you procrastinate doing. You make more testosterone doing that than actually doing the stuff you're good at. So, we're here doing our podcast. We're good at this. We're making testosterone. So that keeps our stress levels low. But we need to replenish and have some good boosters in there, which is challenge. When you're challenged and overcoming our resistance to something actually is a good booster. For me, that means I'm doing more physical exercise as well. So I have one of those little bicycles that you have in your house, and I would normally do a certain amount of time. Now I've doubled that time and pushed it. And so I really push it. My legs are hurting. But just the fact that I pushed it is a big boost to testosterone. My mood dramatically got good afterwards because I actually generated more testosterone. That's what we need. Normally, if I'm busy all day working, overcoming challenges and doing some things I don't like doing, things I do like doing, life is a mixture. That keeps that testosterone up, doing what you have to do. Now, let me counter that by, if I'm talking to women, what women have to realize is every time you're doing that, I have to do, I don't want to do, but I have to do, that's a testosterone booster for you too. And most often when you're building testosterone, you're not making estrogen. You can be busy and make estrogen if you enjoy what you're doing. If you're enjoying what you're doing, if you're not feeling, oh, I have to do this, you're saying, oh, I get to do this. Oh, I get to do this now. And that is a little bit of language reframing. You can actually change your hormones by just noticing when you're saying, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. Just write out, I get to, I get to, I get to, I get to. And if you can't get to, I get to do this, then you write out, okay, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. Why do I have to do that? Because I want to do that. Nobody's controlling you. I want to do that. And why do you want to do that? You realize that you want to do that because you want good things to happen. You don't want bad things to happen. And then if I want good things to happen, you start to have a shift in your hormones and you go, oh, well, I get to do these good things. I get to do these things that produce good results. It's taking responsibility to take us out of the victim mode into, we're creating our lives. But it is challenging right now because we are creating our lives, and a big chunk of our lives has just been taken away, which was nourishing to us.
Yeah. One of the ways that I'm enjoying relaxing and escaping is by reading. And I always find that helpful. And actually, I've been kind of especially reading lots of fiction recently. And obviously, John, you've been on this podcast quite a few times before now, haven't you? And in person, we last met in September in London. And I've asked you this a few times. But what is one book that you would recommend? And it can be anything. It can be the most recent book you've written or something that you think would be particularly important during lockdown. So one book recommendation and one tip for living with more energy and vitality.
My thing is gender. So I think my favorite book on gender that I didn't write is from Warren Farrell, which is Why Men Are the Way They Are. Why Men Are the Way They Are. Quite an amazing book just to help women understand men, but ironically it has a much bigger following of men because it helps men understand why we are the way we are. It's very validating to masculinity. Maybe on a deeper sense. So his books are a bit more controversial than mine. I stay in a very feel-good place. He challenges people's belief systems at a much more intellectual, deeper way.
Well, I think understanding masculinity is so important for men. And as you've talked about many times, it's kind of something that we're less encouraged to do than probably ever before. As we grow up with more female role models. I've certainly done it a lot, and I've read a lot of literature about masculinity as well over the last few years, and I've loved that. I've loved that kind of process.
Yeah, it's really great to see ourselves. Yeah. It's very, very, very helpful, and just without putting blame on anybody, it's just our tendency as men is to not be as self-reflective as women. Estrogen is always about, what is it that I like, what I need, what I want inside. And testosterone is about how do I get there? How do I do it? How do I get there? And so forth. So one of the things that helps me self-reflect, and I do in meditation, I reflect when I'm upset about something. Boy, I'll reflect to the nth degree until I let it go. But just in general, because I'm not upset about stuff hardly at all anymore, I have a men's group. I have 2 different men's groups, and we just sort of check in and talk about what's going on. And they always have a lot more problems than me. And when they're being completely transparent, talking about issues and challenges they're going through, whatever. As they do it, I reflect. I see that, hey, I'm going through stuff too. I do it more gracefully and smoothly, but it's really nice to be able to reflect on, yeah, I relate to that. Yeah, I relate to that. I relate to that. It lets me see myself, and I feel more whole as a result, because even as self-reflective as I am, I tend to just be going on what I have to do next. What's my goal? How am I achieving this? What's the best thing to be doing? Which is like the question you just asked me, which is after I talk about the book, what to do for vitality. For vitality, exercise is so key. But something most people may not immediately relate to and may not be able to do, but if you have a bathtub, I'm spending most of my meditation time in the bathtub. Now, why is that? Well, throughout thousands of years, people would have these miraculous experiences in holy water. In the Egyptian temples, you first have to go through the water before you get to the sacred inner temple. And if you go to India, these holy situations, these 8 hours you'd be in these fire ceremonies where they're offering things to the fire. There's something about relaxing and or meditating in nature. When you're in nature, next to fire, next to water, out in the sun, when you're in the elements, what happens is your body goes deeper into a harmonious relationship with all of its component parts. And we are mostly water. So if you're experiencing an environment, we are in a collective environment right now, which is highly stressed, highly worried. Not so much me, but I'm affected by that. We're all affected by the culture we live in. And the more spiritual we are, the more we're going to be affected by others. And it just sort of, if you're shining out light, you absorb other things coming into you. And so if I'm in the water when I'm meditating, I stay in this very pure resonant field of the water. Even when I meditate, I use my meditation technique. I'll suggest this to people as you're in the water and you call on your higher power. I call upon the energy of the universe, the powerful energy of the universe. So I could, if you believe in God, or you can use that term. I love that term. Dear God, I open my heart to you. Come, fill me with love and light. Fill me with love and light, and use this water to come fill me with love and light. Using this water, send the energy of love and light, of your love and light. Send the energy, and you start to feel, activate my fingertips to receive that energy. So you just have your fingertips apart above the water. And you imagine, the energy of the universe is coming through the water to your fingertips, and you're resonating with the water. And then you can do your meditation technique, and your fingers will buzz. Okay, that's the resonance. You want to stay in connection with the water, not go somewhere else, wandering in your mind. You're thinking this. Whatever you do, that's okay, whatever your practice is, but anchor it in resonance with the water. And you'll find that it's going to be deeper, more peaceful, more relaxing. Put on some music as well. I think that helps people a lot. But be in the water, because the water will keep you in a pure frequency and free you from the ambient chaos that's going on in the world right now, and help to purify that through you. So that's a nice meditation, using the elements.
Oh, that's great. John, I'm so pleased that things are going okay for you. It is a strangely peaceful time, but it is also a time, as we've spoken about, of great anxiety for lots of people. So I'm really pleased that it's going well for you. And also, I feel like this has been very helpful for a lot of people in terms of relationships. So thank you. And where can people find out more about you and everything you do, and your books, of course?
Yeah, well, at marsvenus.com, I have a free online course on relationships. It's really, really good. I do it with my daughter Lauren. She's she's grown up, 34 years old, and she teaches this material. And there's literally a tremendous amount of other little courses. There are blog videos, and then written text. So it will keep you busy a long time learning new things about relationship if you go to marsvenus.com. And also at my website, it's pretty big, there's an Insiders Club, which if you want longer videos, every day there's a 1-hour video from me that you get sent. And then they're, according to...
You do an hour video every day?
Every day there's an hour. They're pre-recorded. It's a course you take of
great.
Different stages of personal growth that people can... It's an Insiders Club. And then you have it's like a health food store, my online health food store, with a supplement store. Because I'm a big fan of certain supplements that support good relationships. And one of those I'll just mention, you can go to the wellness section of the site, but one of them everyone should check out. It's very inexpensive. It's called lithium. Now, lithium is given to people with bipolar mood swings, but it's given by doctors in a form that's toxic. Lithium carbonate. So you're given maybe 50 to 500 times the dose that your body really needs, but lithium carbonate doesn't immediately get into the brain, so they give you a huge amount. So it'd be like taking a massive amount of salt. There's going to be side effects, and so people are all afraid of lithium, even though it's very helpful to the brain. It has side effects. Well, German Dr. Nieper discovered that if you bind a very small amount of lithium, like you'd have a little bit of salt, a little tiny bit of lithium, along with uric acid, a substance in mother's milk that carries minerals into the brain. So you really only need a tiny amount, like a little tiny capsule of it, twice a day, and it dramatically stops this tendency. When we're under stress, we will tend to loop. We go over a thought again and again and again. And so I've noticed very dramatic results for people who tend to hold on to negative thoughts. It sort of releases you to be back in present time. And that's called lithium orotate. And I know that it's not prescription. You can find it online somewhere. You're in England, so probably you don't want to order all the way from America, but you can go online and find it. But watch my videos so that you'll be able to understand how to take it, how to use it, and so forth, because there's absolutely no side effects. It's not a prescription thing at all, and it will actually lower your stress levels. There's another product I want to mention right now for people that are concerned about the virus, and that's things that support the immune system. And that is something called Bravo yogurt, and that's made in Switzerland. I'm sure you can get it in Europe. But listen to my video where I explain the benefit of it. But you take it for 3 months, and it does a complete overhaul on your gut, on the digestion and the gut. It's 43 different strains of probiotics. You make it as a homemade yogurt, and you take it every day, just a couple of tablespoons. And I give the instructions how to use that as well. But it's had tremendous results for people who have various sicknesses and so forth that have to do with healthy immune function and also healthy brain function, because we now know the gut also helps the brain function as well, besides the immune system. The other thing is lots of sunshine when you can get it. And if you're not getting sunshine, make sure to take lots of vitamin D. And make sure if you're taking vitamin D, you also need to be getting vitamin K. They work together. And that's salads, greens. Lots of greens is ideal to balance the sunshine. Or if you're not getting sunshine, you could amp up vitamin D levels. So those are just some of the really good tips that you'd find at my wellness center there. And there's even more.
Good stuff.
So it's such a pleasure to be with you again. And those are my tips for finding the physical support, because as in the mind, so in the body. We've talked about our relationships affecting our hormones and our stress levels. But as in the body, so in the mind. You literally have to have the building blocks of optimal brain function and immune function for the whole thing to work. But the big obstacle to immune function is going to be foods that have pesticides. Pesticides kill bugs, so they go in your gut and kill the beneficial bugs in your gut. Those are called probiotics. Chlorinated water is good to have a chlorine filter. Chlorine kills the bad bugs, but also goes in your gut and starts killing stuff there too. Now, we're strong, resilient, and so forth, but that's why you just need 3 months to replenish the whole thing, and then you try to have less chlorine, less pesticide food, and less stress. Stress also kills gut function, inhibits gut function. So those are 3 things we can try to eliminate from our life. And of course, the most important is to find the love and the harmony that we've been talking about.
That's it for John Gray. Thank you to John for coming on, and thank you for listening to Zestology. I do appreciate it. If you'd like to sign up for the 3 Zesty Things newsletter, then you can head to my website. It's tonywrighton.com, and there's plenty of blogs and stuff on there, but also the chance to sign up for that newsletter, which goes out every Monday, or sometimes during lockdown, every Tuesday. There's some unique childcare challenges that are going on at the moment, so, cut me some slack if it doesn't arrive on a Monday, that's why. A quick reminder that I'm very excited to tell you about a new magnesium product and magnesium challenge that I'm doing. I've always been someone who reacts very well to taking magnesium supplements, but I've struggled to find the right one. And it is quite difficult. It's hard. There are so many different types of magnesium, and if you get it wrong, you get what Dave Asprey calls disaster pants. So a bit of a magnesium challenge in June, taking the new product called Magnesium Breakthrough, said to be the ultimate magnesium supplement, and my partners on this podcast for June as well, because most supplements only contain 1 or 2 forms of magnesium, when in reality there are at least 7 that your body needs and benefits from. So the Zestology team has been able to arrange for some stock to be set aside for you, and you'll get a 10% discount as well, and you can actually save up to 40% on some of the kind of packages that they've got in terms of Magnesium Breakthrough, which is amazing value. That's only available on this specific website, which is magbreakthrough.com/zestology. You won't find that deal on Amazon. You won't find that deal on the company's website. It is only on magbreakthrough.com/zestology. Lots of deals on there. And you'll get the Zestology 10 coupon automatically applied as well, and get 10% off on whatever you get. So I'm doing a little magnesium challenge as well. I certainly noticed that I sleep better when I take magnesium, and my limbs are a bit looser, so let's see how it pans out in June. But yeah, if you want to check out more, then it's magbreakthrough.com/zestology. Enjoy Magnesium June. We need a slappier title for it, don't we, than Magnesium June. If you've got any ideas, let me know. I'm all out of inspiration for this one. But that is it for Zestology. It's another lovely day here in London. It's been incredible weather throughout this spring. Thanks for listening as always. Thank you to John. Hope your relationships are going okay and you're making it work in these strange times. If you've got any feedback on the podcast, you can get in touch through tonywrighton.com, and I'll see you next week.